My God, by the names of Rekindled, smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rekindled is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are. And here we come to obviously bring you the latest news and information as far as all this is really concerned. Now we're here to talk Joao Neves. We are here to talk Declan Rice. We are here to talk Palhinha, and we are here to talk Memphis Depay. All that in a video that is really going to be very intriguing to you, the viewers of this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rekindled is my name, and hope you guys are really doing fine. Good morning, depending on where you're watching us from, and we are bringing you what you guys deserve. Now, Arsenal have gone ahead to add Joao Neves to their list, and that leads us to a situation where Arsenal haven't gone ahead obviously make what we call a final decision on who to sign into what we call into the midfield area. But for the center forward area, we've all known that Arsenal have zeroed down to Benjamin Sesko. That's why Sesko has gone ahead to find it very easy to obviously put out himself onto a transfer to AC Milan, and AC Milan has gone ahead to really tell Bologna that they are willing to obviously trigger that called clause of 40 million euros for them to sign him. You get Jokeres. I've just brought you an update. It's because of the huge amounts of money that have gone ahead to be put on his head that a team like Arsenal is not willing obviously go in for that. And that shows you that for the midfield options, they are really huge and obviously running. We thank God for the gift of life. The Muslims, Barakallahu fikum, and may the living to God bless you and bless you abundantly in here onto our beautiful channel. Now, let's obviously start up with the man that went ahead to break the story. This man was Grammy Bailey. Around the 15th of last month, he told us that Arsenal have added Joao Neves to their list of midfield options and have intensified their scouting of Benfica's star in the last 6 weeks. So Arsenal has been scouting Joao Neves, no doubt about that. And then the transfer guru, that is Fabrizio Romano, came up and obviously gave us a hint onto what he thinks about this transfer could be like. He said Joao Neves has been mentioned as a possible alternative for Arsenal in midfield. My information there remains that Neves has been scouted by Arsenal, Man United, Man City, all clubs interested, but nothing's advanced at this stage. While it is also important to remember that Joao Neves' price is double compared to Martin Zubimendi, as his release clause at Benfica is 120 million euros. And this is where I really believe that it's going to act as a huge red flag for the side of Arsenal, right? Because Joao Neves is seen as a very good midfielder, and Arsenal will have to obviously sit down and ask themselves, is this guy worth 120 million euros as called up for buy the side of Benfica? And remember, it's the same amount of money that Benfica went ahead to obviously sell Enzo Fernandez to the side of Chelsea, and that's the price they've gone ahead to set for every player they're really selling. Joao Neves, very exciting. What makes him special as a player? It's his it's him being versatile. He can play as a CDM, he can play as a box-to-box midfielder, he can play as a central attack midfielder, he can play as a right winger, he can play as a left winger, he can literally play the entire back line, left back, central defense, and the right back. That is Joao Neves for you, and that's what makes him the preferred position. His technique is really great. When you look at all the attributes of a player, this guy ticks all the boxes. And you know, there are things I've gone ahead to note, and I'd like to obviously read to you or take you throughout of Joao Neves. When you look at Joao Neves, he has gone ahead to obviously have a very good style of play. You know, he can play as a CDM. I've gone here to let you know. But his preferred position is playing as a CDM. I saw him when Portugal was playing against Finland. You can as well look for that game and see how Joao Neves went ahead to perform. He's young. He's just 19 years of age. That is it. 19 years of age. 19 years of age. And it's always a point of accuracy if at all you're really scouting a player, and Manchester United, Man City, and you Arsenal are really scouting the player, meaning that there is something special into that player's cardboard. I tell you, it confirms to us that there is something special into that player's cardboard, and I'm just excited on where this guy is gonna go, because Man City are really tussling it out with Arsenal. Very many midfielders: Douglas Luiz, Bruno Guimaraes, Joao Neves, you know, and this guy is really special. He's really special, and he's press resistant. His technique is really great. He dribbles past players, and for me, I look at him as a more technically gifted N'Golo Kante. He covers a huge distance. He's not that towering of a lad that you look at and say, oh, he's really that midfielder that is going to be like Bruno Guimaraes, physicality or what. But physical battles, he wins them, you know. Grand duels, he really wins them. And his most attributes I've got to like about him is the way he carries that ball and moves it past through the center of the midfield. You get that central axis acceleration is just blowing my mind. He's that special. The guy is special, and I tell you, whichever team is gonna get him, he's really gonna find themselves in a proposition of obviously seeing him thrive. But when you talk about the last player that Arsenal signed from Portugal, or the two recent players, Arsenal have gone ahead to sign from Portugal, and in this exact team of Benfica, they signed Nuno Tavares. Look at how he's looking. He's a very good player, but I think his indiscipline has gone ahead to cost him a career. You get? And Fabio Vieira is another one whom they signed from FC Porto from Portugal, and the two haven't gone ahead to perform very well. And I think maybe Arsenal will be like, why should we obviously go ahead to concentrate on to signing players outside the Premier League, yet they've not gone ahead obviously show up. And I think the last player that Arsenal signed outside the Premier League and came through and really played very well, I think it's Martin Odegaard and Tomiyasu. But I think the next one is going to be Julian Timber. Timber is really a promising player and is going to put in a very huge shift into that side of Arsenal. But when you look at players like Fabio Vieira, players like Nuno Tavares, players like Lokonga, Jakub Kiwior is trying. I see him trying, but the rest of the players aren't really picking up. And this is where I really come up to a conclusion that maybe Arsenal will be looking to sign in players that are really England best. And last season you saw to it that the three players they went ahead to add onto that squad of Arsenal that are really Premier League best went ahead to obviously put in a very good shift. For example, we are talking David Raya. He won the Golden Glove. Declan Rice, best midfielder in the league by far. Kai Havertz, 13 Premier League goals. In total went ahead to score close to 17 goals that season. And if you add his assists on, 20 goal involvement. You understand? And all the holes have been Premier League players. The previous season of 2022-2023, they brought in Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus. So those two additions went ahead obviously elevate Arsenal to competing for the trophy. You understand? So it is proven that Arsenal have found themselves in a position of thriving a lot when they sign Premier League players. You get? And this is where I would like to pose a question to you. Where does Joao Neves rate? That is it. Where does he rate when it comes to this scenario of Arsenal coming in through and obviously going in for Joao Neves? Because Joao Neves, thank you Richard for watching in through, good morning. Joao Neves is a player that is extremely talented. That is it. And I repeat it, or I reiterate my words. Whichever team is going to get him, they would have gone ahead to get a very young, talented player that is going to be one of the best in the world. But the question is the price. He's double the amount of Zubimendi. And if Arsenal are willing to spend £100 million, they would have gone ahead to spend it already. And the big question is, if you add everything I've gone ahead to obviously say about the players that Arsenal have gone ahead to be signing recently in the Premier League versus the performance of those Arsenal have gone ahead to be signing recently from Portugal and outside the Premier League, do you think if at all Arsenal have failed to pay £100 million for Bruno Guimaraes, they can pay £106 million for Joao Neves? I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Good morning, Richard. I don't see it happening because that's not how things work. Things don't work that way. They don't work that way. And this is where I think Arsenal will shift to obviously go to Zubimendi, if not Onana, if not Fofana, if not who else? Arsenal cannot spend 120 million euros or 106 million pounds onto Joao Neves. That is it. Because that comes in with huge pressure. Declan Rice came in for 105. You get? Meaning that Joao Neves will go for that. I don't really see them going in for midfielder like this. However good he is, I tell you, they won't do this. They won't do this. And I read somewhere that Arsenal might be having only £100 million to spend in cash. Sorry, minus sales. And Arsenal has not gone ahead to show us that they're really good at selling, but they've gone ahead to make profits in players. They've gone ahead to obviously get. But the list of players they can sell is really increasing day after day. Jakub Kivio, Thomas Partey, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah. You get? Those are 5 players. And it's said if Arsenal can sell those 5-6 players, they can obviously get in some huge amount of money. Not forgetting Lokonga. Talk about the guy called, apart from Lokonga, there is another guy, Nuno Tavares. So Arsenal has close to 8 players to sell this summer to raise funds. And we don't know what decision they're really going to make. And they might not sell some players because of the home-based players rule. Arsenal is having 3 players that are on their way out. I think there are 4. Aaron Ramsdale, Reece Nelson, Nketiah, and Emile Smith-Rowe. All those 4 players are English-based. Born and bred in England, they are home-based players. If you sell them at once, it's going to affect you because you need to be having, I think, is it 8? Is it 8 or 15? I think you're supposed to be having 15 homegrown players. 8 in the main team, 7 from the academy. Now, I was doing a certain video way back. I brought you a story about about the home-based players that Arsenal really have. Aaron Ramsdale, Benjamin White, Saliba. He made his debut before he turned 21. Which other in the central defense is really home-based player? I think even Gabriel Magalhaes, he came in through at the age of 20. Then you talk about Declan Rice. You talk about Bukayo Saka. And then you add on Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah. You add on Emile Smith-Rowe. Those are 9. Clicking on the first team. Now, if you sell 4 of those, you are left with 5. You'll be having a deficit of 3. How do you obviously come in through to obviously add in more English players? And you know how expensive these English players are, meaning that Arsenal might really not make a decision to obviously do the needful and see to it that a lot goes their way. But we wait and see how Arsenal is going to really plan to raise more funds. But all in all, Arsenal are interested in players that are of this caliber. Now, I have some questions into the live streaming here for you. Richard Fenny from Kawempe, thank you for watching in through. Good morning to my brother. Then, Gian Malik, you already. Why Arsenal want so many players? The guy want to play for United. Boss, if I don't, what? Right. Now, Joao Neves hasn't gone ahead to obviously choose which club he's going to play for. That is it. He hasn't gone ahead to make a choice because no club has gone ahead to show huge potential to obviously do the needful, you know. And so, if you are asking me why Arsenal is linked to very many players, you should know the craft of the transfer. Per position, a team will obviously make a list of 5 players. 5 players. And right now, the 5 players of Arsenal that they're looking at to bring in through in the midfield area, to choose 1 or 2, Bruno Guimaraes, Douglas Luiz, Joao Neves, Zubimendi, Onana. You can even talk about Yusuf Fofana. You get? So, if that's the list, then we'll obviously be bringing you news onto every player as far as him being connected to Arsenal and what update is going to come in through, not until Arsenal signs a midfielder. And I tell you, we are going to be hearing such stories not until Arsenal goes ahead to bring in a midfielder. That is it. If they don't bring in a midfielder, we'll be bringing you news on all these 6 midfielders that Arsenal is being linked to. That is it. And that's the science. I want you guys to know about the transfers, that if they say Arsenal is linked to Joao Neves, that doesn't mean that Arsenal is out of the race for Bruno Guimaraes. No way. It is what we are being told by the credible sources. Do you doubt Fabrizio Romano? The answer is no. And I've seen people coming out in the comment section, no, you are really lying to us. I'm not lying to you. This is a channel that brings you news and we react to the stories as they come in through. So, Joao Neves has been added to that short list of Arsenal, and by the moment Arsenal added the player on, maybe they might contemplate and really find themselves convinced of paying that amount of money that is being called in through by Benfica, because this guy is really talented, but they'll have to choose between Bruno Guimaraes and Joao Neves. And Man City wants to either bring one or 2 of those because they want to reinforce their midfield. You understand? And I think, first and foremost, Pep will have to make a decision, because last season they failed to sign a player in the asking price range of Joao Neves, that is Declan Rice. And they said they cannot pay that amount of money, you remember? And now they are really scouting out this player. I don't think Man United can really pay that amount of money. They went ahead to make a bid of £51 million and it got rejected, made this week. So, if you say the player wants to go to Man United, that's a lie. The player will go to a team that can trigger that clause. If not him can trigger that clause, this player will go nowhere. I tell you, this player will go nowhere, because Benfica will hold on to him to it that he's really here. Let me see his contract situation and see how his contract is really standing. Transfer market. How many years is he left on his contract? So his contract with this team runs up to 2028, 4 years from now, meaning that they still have him onto a long contract, and he renewed this contract last year, 11th August, and he put to paper, or he signed a 5-year contract, meaning that they still have him there, and the player has to obviously look on and see who is going to come in for him, because it's him who came out and obviously put pen to paper on what contract, sorry, on a contract that he went ahead to read through, and he knew all the clauses that were really involved, and he was like, maybe in 4 years time I'll be ready to be sold for 120 million euros. But right now it's just a moment of time left, and we are really seeing to it that everything is really moving so fast, and the guy wants to leave. But where is he going to be playing next? I don't know. I can't come in here and really lie to you, but all in all, we are going to be letting you know for who or for where this guy is going to be playing at next season. Richard Fenny, for me, I got Joao Neves. He's a good player. Yeah, he's a very good player. He's a very good player. And I think if you want to see this player not go to Barcelona or Real Madrid, you have to get him now. That is it. If you don't get him now, next summer, Real Madrid will be looking for replacement of Toni Kroos. Barcelona might have found themselves get through the problems that they're really having, and they might obviously come and counter and be the trigger. And you know, Portuguese players, when it comes to Real Madrid and Barcelona, there is no way you convince them to obviously go ahead and really stay. So we wait and see how that happens. But Joao Neves to Arsenal has been added to the Arsenal transfer list, and I'm going to be bringing you the latest news and information as far as that is concerned. Let's go a little bit to London. In Fulham, Platigol has told us that Joao Palhinha is currently FC Bayern's top transfer target for the defensive midfield. There is already a verbal agreement in principle between Bayern Munich and the 20-year-old. Also, because all the essential contract details were already negotiated last summer, Palhinha keen to join Bayern Munich. Talks with Fulham are already underway. Bayern ready to spend between 40 to 45 million euros transfer fee, contract valid until 2028. Saga continues. Now, this is where Bayern Munich gets it wrong. Why? They went in for this player last year when his contract was having like 2 years to go, and they were willing to pay 70 million euros, right? And in the January of this year, Joao Palhinha went ahead to extend his contract to 4 more years at Fulham. And you can't tell me that this side is obviously going to call in for 40 to 45 million euros, and I don't see them really allowing that business. At the moment the player went ahead to obviously extend his contract, I think it has to stay at 70 million euros, and I think that will be the negotiation point of Fulham for the side of Bayern Munich. I'll be asking them, if you're willing to pay us 70 million euros last summer, when Palhinha was only and only, right, was only and only left with 2 years on his contract, you have to pay us more when the player is really doing the needful. He has maintained his form. He has gone ahead to obviously put in a very good shift this season or the previous season. He's going to be playing in the Euros for Portugal, and you have to obviously get us 70 million euros. You get? And for Bayern Munich, they have to act fast. Liverpool is looking in for CDM. You know, Manchester United is looking in for CDM. And I won't be surprised if at all a team like Man United or Liverpool runs for Joao Palhinha, because he has gone ahead to prove himself as one of the best players into the Premier League when it comes to really playing into that central defensive midfield. And he has gone ahead to obviously win lots and lots of duels. When you look at his stats this season, he's really one of those that has gone ahead to put in a very huge shift. 33 games, 4 goals and 1 assist this season in what we call the Premier League. What a very huge performance for Joao Palhinha. And for everyone who doubts his qualities, you need to obviously come out and really understand that he's that one player that you can't obviously miss out. You understand? I think he's part of the Portuguese squad for the Euros, and I know he's really going to be playing a very huge part in there for you, and we wait to see how this team really plays into the Euros. So guys, thank you very much for watching in through, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And in the game, they went ahead to beat Finland. He started in the CDM area alongside Joao, Neves and Vitinha, that is Palhinha. And I think in these games that Portugal is going to be playing into the Euros, Joao Palhinha is going to be very much pivotal into the game. And Portugal kickstarts off its group stages games on 18th Tuesday when they are playing against Chechnya. Then they play against Turkey on the 22nd of June. Then Georgia, 26th of June. That is Portugal for you. So that is Portugal for you, and Fulham will be like, we pray Joao Palhinha gets himself into that position and he really wins something for Portugal. All plays very well and B is one of the standout players. And for Fulham, it will obviously help them really negotiate their deal with Bayern Munich, because Fulham is willing to sell, but they would love to obviously get in like 70 million euros from this player. And I know there is a sell-on clause from Sporting Lisbon because they got him on a cheap, and we wait to see how things pan out. But Fulham are really pushing hard to obviously have this guy earn them 70 million euros. Let's go to Declan Rice. Ian Wright has said Ben White has been magnificent, but I think the transformation in Arsenal's team has been Declan Rice. I think the reason Arsenal were able to push Man City further this season is because of him and his 9 out of 10 performances every week. I think his levels and his consistency is something that is underrated. He's getting a lot of love now, and it's rightly so, but I think it's underrated. We are seeing it as normal, and what the man is doing at the moment is for Arsenal in the moment is not normal, and fingers crossed he can do it again next season. So he's like painting a picture that Declan Rice is the reason as to why Arsenal have gone ahead obviously put in the shift. They've obviously gone ahead to put in through, and I really agree with him, because when they had Thomas Partey, they imploded, and Thomas Partey was part of the orchestration of what hit Arsenal to get off the trophy. You understand? Last season, and they surrendered it early with 2-3 games to go. But for the side of Declan Rice, he comes in through. Arsenal didn't put the foot off the pedal, and they obviously did the needful. You know, they did the needful and they competed until the last day. And I think he's right. He's a very good addition, because he played all the 38 games of Arsenal. And he averaged 80 minutes per game. And he played all the 10 Champions League games. That is Declan Rice. So I see a player that was going to hit to transform the side of Arsenal, and that's why I've always told you that I would love to see Arsenal getting in what we call proven players, you know, known raw diamonds. Even Joao Neves is a proven player. At the age of 19, he does things like a player of 24 years is doing, you know. So it doesn't mean that if I told you are 19, you cannot obviously get in that Arsenal side and play. Look at how Kobe Mainoo has gone ahead to play in England because of his form at Manchester United. So Joao Neves can come in through. He's 19 like Kobe Mainoo. He can come in through and obviously put in a very huge shift, you know, and that shift will be very appreciated at the side. But for me, I also agree with Ian Wright. Declan Rice is the reason. Him and Kai Havertz, by the way, and David Raya. For me, Declan Rice is at the top, Kai Havertz next, and David Raya comes third. You understand? So we'll leave it at that, and I call upon for your reactions about that in the comment section below. Now, lastly, as we call this video off. Memphis Depay has said, yes, I'm now a free agent, and I can wherever. Now I'm not a free agent. I can wherever I want this summer, but I'm not in advanced talks with any club as my focus is on the Euros. So Memphis Depay is quitting Atletico Madrid as a free agent, and he's really looking for the next move, and we don't know what is going to be the next move for Memphis Depay, as he really adventures into his next land where he wants to be playing the game of football at. So for Memphis Depay as a player, we know he has the potential. He has played in the Champions League. He played in the Premier League. He played into the League One, Barcelona La Liga, and I think he might be heading either to the Bundesliga or Serie A. The Serie A might be really hugely welcoming him there, or the Bundesliga, and I won't be surprised if at all he goes to either Juventus, Inter Milan, or AC Milan, one of those teams. You get? Because I know he's really hugely wanted there. So guys, thank you very much for watching through. It has been a 30-minute stream. Hope you've gone ahead to enjoy it. And the following people, may the living to God bless you abundantly, and Allah really give you the rest, because it's late in the night, but you guys have gone ahead obviously coming through and watched in. Richard Fenny, Jihan Molecule, you two have been really great. But I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Joao Neves being added to Arsenal's transfer list. Rokani David is my name. I sign out for now.